Here's to the babies in a brand new world. Here's to the beauty in the stars. Here's to the travelers on the open road. And here's to the dreamers in the bar. Here's to the teachers in the crowded rooms. Here's to the workers in the fields. Here's to the preachers of the sacred word. Here's to the drivers at the wheel. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin.
Sing that with us if you'd like.
Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to the doctors in their healing work. Here's to the loved ones in their care. Here's to the strangers on the street tonight. And here's to the lonely everywhere. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to the wisdom from the mouths of babes. Here's to the lions in the cage. Here's to the struggles of the silent war. And here's to the closing of the age. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin.
Wow. Thank you. And thank you all for joining in. That's such a cool way to get this started. So welcome everybody today. We have lovely weather in comparison to many, many, many places. In comparison to some of the places even around here recently. So again, this is a hey, thank you God day. At this point in time, I'm going to light the Christ candle. And as always, this is meant simply to be a reminder to you of the Christ light. This is a visual of the Christ light that is within all of us at all points in time. It's always there. Good times, bad times, you're having stress, you're not having stress, anything else. You can always just go, hey, enough. I am one with the Christ, and all is good, all is well. So, visual reminder of that. And now I'm going to ask Lorena, I haven't even told you who's here today. Oh, I am just not doing well at all.
I know I'm here. It's okay.
Oh, and I know you're here. And I know Randy's here because I've talked to him.
And we know they're there.
Okay, so we got this all taken care of. Our speaker today is the Reverend Lorena Smith.
Thank you.
And our musician is Randy Burns. Okay. Now, would you like to do the opening prayer?
Yes, let's go into prayer. Sweet Spirit, this morning we start with what feels like the most powerful prayer there is. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
And in saying thank you, we acknowledge everything that's going on, the challenging and the joyful. And we know that even if it doesn't feel it, even if we can't see it, God is working in, through, and as us and all around. God is in everything. God is in the helping hands. God is in the challenges and the joys. And so we come together this morning and we celebrate life. We celebrate this moment, for we have breath and it's a good day. And we open our minds and we open our hearts and we open our arms to each other in community. And we say, thank you, God. Amen.
Thank you, Lorena. And now it says on the little list here that we are going to do a congregational song called I Am the Light, and we would have been glad to put words in the bulletin, but Lorena said we know it.
Well, you don't know it, probably, I don't know, but it's a call and response. So all you have to do is repeat after me, and you know it, like magic. All right, Randy. Would you like to stand? Let's stand so we can kind of, get a little funk and joy on. How about that? Okay. So it's called I Am a Light. So you just repeat after me. Here we go. I am a light.
I am a
I am a light.
I am a light
In this world.
in this world.
In this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light. In this world. In this world. In this world, in this world, this is the place, this is the place, this is the time, this is the time. Let it shine, oh, let it shine, let it shine. I see the joy, you got it. I see the joy in this world. In this world, I see the joy. I see the joy. In this world. In this world. This is the time. This is the place. Let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Now it's going to change a little. I'm living love every day. I'm living love every day. I'm living love every day.
I'm living love.
There you go. I'm living love every day.
Love every day.
Spreading peace along the way.
Spreading peace along the way.
Right time,
Right time,
right place.
right place.
Live in love
Live in love.
every day. Back to the beginning. I am a light.
I am a light.
I am a light
I am a light
in this world.
in this world.
In this world.
This world.
I am a light. I am a light in this world. In this world. This is the time.
This is the time.
This is the place. Let it shine.
Let it shine.
Let it shine. We're going to wrap it up here. This is the place.
This is the place.
This is the time.
Time.
Let it shine.
Let it shine.
Oh, let it shine. Oh, let it shine. There we go. Woo!
Thank you, Lorena. Okay, now it's the time when I remind everyone of the prayer box. You will find prayer requests on the back of your pews. If you'd like to fill one out, you're more than welcome to. We have a prayer corner back there and a drawer that you can put them in. You can bring the prayers up here and put them in the box. You can put them in the brass bowls when they come around, whatever happens to work for you. This being the last Sunday of the month, all of these prayers will now be collected and sent back to Silent Unity, where they are prayed over for an additional 30 days in the Silent Unity Prayer Chapel. So lots of power goes into these. And it's not always a matter of saying, gee, I need help or whatever. A lot of times it's just a matter of writing a little thing there and just flat saying, thank you, God, period. It's for good things too. Not only things you want or need, but gratitude. So anyway, that's the prayer box. And now John's going to do the announcements. It's your turn. And I even have them for you.
That's them.
That's them. Those are the ones.
All right. All right. Hi, gang. It's really nice to see you all here today. We have some of our snowbirds are still out snowbirding, but little do they know we've already migrated towards spring. You know, it's wonderful. The flowers are going to start to bloom now. The little duckies are swimming down the streets. It's great. So they'll be here next week, or the next week. And speaking of next week, February 4th is Birthday Sunday. And our motto is, on Birthday Sunday, let them eat cake. So we'll have cake, because my cute little redhead's birthday is in February, so I know we're going to have cake. If you have anything to celebrate special in February, birthdays, anniversaries, marriages, divorces, whatever you want to celebrate, bring something special to share with us. Also, we're going to be receiving new members during the service. I think we've got 3 people, 2 people, 2 or 3 people. There'll be new members coming in, and that'll be fun. And after the service, we're going to have our ever exciting board meeting. And also next week is, of course, Super Bowl Sunday, so go Broncos. And if that isn't enough excitement, our services will feature Reverend Gene Celia and Mike Test. Now, Reverend Gene's not here today, which I find amazing, because darn near everybody else is. We got Charles, we got Georgie, we got Lorena. I feel well blessed. I don't know about the rest of you guys. So I think that's great. And we still have a vacancy for platform assistant Sunday, February 11th. As I've mentioned, and you may not have heard, we're slowly firing our platform assistant Judy. She'll be doing it a couple times a month, but we're trying to bring more people in as platform assistants. So if any of you, Lorena, would like to volunteer, Lorena, to be our platform assistant, Lorena, be sure and let me know, because I do have a vacancy for February 11th. Okay? That's all I got.
You're done?
I think I'm done.
Okay. Thinks he's done. And now if you will take your affirmation card out of your bulletin, we will do our January affirmation, which of course is the last one for this month. Then next month we get a new one. So let's start with the one for Unity by the Sea. Co-creating with God all of Unity by the Sea's wants and needs for 2018 are satisfied. And then for ourselves, co-creating with God all of my wants and needs for 2018 are satisfied. And today I've asked Reverend Georgie if she will read the daily word. And she said she would.
Thank you, Judy. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Today's daily word for Sunday, January the 28th, 2018, live boldly. As spirit and expression, I move through my life boldly and joyously. I might have been tempted in the past to tiptoe through life. Perhaps I've been concerned that living with too much enthusiasm might threaten whatever degree of spiritual awareness I had achieved. Jesus had a different message and set a different example. He lived his life boldly, whether he was teaching, demonstrating, or sharing a meal with friends. He could have separated from the world for a life of quiet contemplation. Instead, he carried his radically new spiritual message into the very heart of the world in which he lived. By following Jesus' example, I accept the joys and the challenges it will contain. As spirit in expression, I move through my life boldly and joyfully. And one of my favorite Bible verses from Luke 12, do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
Thank you, Georgie. Thank you. And now I believe Randy's doing some music. And then it's Lorena's turn.
Okay. Well, it's my humble belief that as I write songs, and I did not write this song, but as I write and or perform other songs written by people, there is a prayerful quality. Songs are prayers to me, and sometimes the prayers come from me in a beseeching kind of way, I guess, and sometimes the prayers come from God, and I believe in a lot of songs come down rather than go up, and this is one of them that kind of comes down. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I will offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When the evening shadows and stars appear, and there's no one there to dry your tears, I would hold you for 1,000,000 years to make you feel my love. And I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. And I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue, I'd go crawling down the avenue. There's nothing that I would not do to make you feel my love. Storms are raging on the rolling sea and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free, and you ain't seen nothing like me yet. I can make you happy, make your dreams come true. There's nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love. There's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love.
Thank you, Randy. Good morning. He and I exchanged a little smile because I didn't know what music he was going to do, because I said, I know whatever you picked out is going to be perfect. And of course, it always is. Yeah, it was great. And we had an exchange this week where I kept changing my mind, so so of course it's perfect. So good morning. This morning we are talking about lightening the load. I think that's the title I gave, lightening the load. And this is a subject that's been on my mind because I just recently returned from an almost 2-week trip in Italy with my daughter Jordan, who studied there for several months a couple years ago. She's finishing her senior year at Gonzaga, and they have a campus over in Florence. So she was in charge of the trip. She treated me. She was the tour guide extraordinaire. She had the Italian that flowed out of her mouth. It was really wonderful to see her just navigating the world with such wisdom and such knowledge. And we flew into Florence or into Rome. We were in Rome for a few days. We were in Florence for several days. We went to Pisa. We went to Pompeii. We went to Sorrento, and we drove down the Amalfi Coast. We rode in a bus down the Amalfi Coast, and then we spent some time in Amalfi, and then we flew back out of Rome. So it was quite a full trip. And in September, I was with some girlfriends in Mexico, and we were in Mexico for a week. And when we went, I packed this, ginormous suitcase, right? Thinking all of these things I needed to have, and all we really did was sit on a beach and sit by the pool. So I didn't need most of that. But the last day when we were to fly out, my friends had already left, and I was the last one to go, and we were in a little villa that was quite a ways from the main lodge, and they usually had shuttle buses to take you there, and I waited and waited, and there was no shuttle bus coming, and the time was getting really close for my airport shuttle to be arriving, and so I just walked and hauled that suitcase, and it was such a heavy load, and at that moment I noticed how heavy it was. So now as we're preparing to go to Italy, and I'm thinking about, 2 weeks, how am I going to pack for Italy for 2 weeks? And my daughter made the executive decision that we were only taking backpacks. Okay, now she's 21. I am not 21. I am not at my top physical shape, but her wisdom told her that suitcases are not good. And if you've been in Italy, the cobblestone streets and all of that, they're very hard to wheel and roll suitcases. And we were going to be in and out of so many places. She was concerned that if we checked bags and they got lost, that we would be out of that city before our bags got there and all of that. So, Mom, we're taking a backpack. So I actually brought the backpack. So this is what I had for 2 weeks in Italy. And everywhere we went, I had my pack strapped to me with my pillow attached, and it was packed, right? Full of just a few change of clothes, just a few hygiene necessities, and that was about it. Because as we were packing, and I thought, wow, that pile I have set out is not going to fit in that backpack, right? So I had to weed through what were the necessities. What was I actually going to take? And I can tell you, carrying my load, even though it was only that size, became burdensome for me. And in Europe, we didn't encounter a lot of elevators, or lifts as they call them, and it just so happened that the rooms we had in various places were on the 4th or 5th floor. So every time we went into a place, I had to pack my stuff up 5 flights of stairs and back down, and on the train and on the bus, and and on the plane and over, and by the time we finished our trip, I was so exhausted. And we were on the flight, which our travel time coming home was about 24 hours. And I was so past tired, I didn't sleep at all on the planes home. And we landed in Portland at midnight. And I looked at that overhead bin and that backpack. And I thought, oh God, give me the strength one more time to get that pack to the car. Right? And I did, and it was fine, but it really left me thinking about how much we carry. How much we carry with us. And, how much we check because we think we're going to need it later. And all of that we carry, I don't know about you, but if you carry a purse or a bag, mine just seems to get fuller and fuller and fuller. I just seem to accumulate stuff. And our spiritual life is so much like that. Our emotional life is so much like that. The stuff we accumulate, and we don't realize that we're carrying that and how heavy that becomes. I found a couple of quotes that I really liked. One of them by Tahir Shah that says, "Previous journeys had taught me the danger of taking too much stuff." And then there's one by Jamie Hughes that says, "The longer a life, the challenge is not the distance between destinations, but the difficulty of traveling light." Oh, that feels so true for me, and I see some nodding heads, so I'm guessing I'm not the only one that this feels true for. So I have a little story. Imagine you're holding a coffee cup, right? And someone bumps you, and you spill the coffee all over, right? And I say to you, "Why did you spill the coffee?" And what would most of us say? Probably, "Well, so-and-so just bumped me, and I spilled my coffee." And I would tell you, no, you spilled your coffee because what you had in your cup was coffee. If you had had tea in your cup and you hit a bump, you would have spilled tea. Right? Okay, so my question for you is, if you are a container for everything that you hold and you hit a bump, what spills out of you is whatever content you have inside of you. So if you have anger and resentment inside of you and you hit a bump, what is likely to come out of you? Anger and resentment, right? If you have joy and love and peace inside of you and you hit a bump, what is likely to spill out? Joy and love and peace. All right, you see where I'm going with this? So now the question becomes then, if we agree that that is an effective premise that we're operating from, the question then becomes, what's in your container? What are you carrying? What spills out of you when you hit life's challenges? Because we can be peace and love when things are flowing right along, right? And that's all fine and dandy. But the real question becomes, when you hit a challenge, at that point, what spills out? Because those are the hidden contents that you're carrying around with you. And so at times we want to stop and sift through our baggage, which is a whole talk all on its own, right? But what I would like to address today, the thing that's been on my mind is, okay, we have baggage that we're carrying. And we'll acknowledge that and we'll slowly address that. But how in this moment can we keep from accumulating more? Okay? Because the more I go in my journey, the more I realize all we have is this moment. And so our most effective spiritual practice doesn't happen in the past, and it doesn't happen tomorrow. It happens right now. So, as things come, how do we make sure, and things will come, right? Things will come. So what is our spiritual practice in addressing those things as they come? Right? And I've recently been reading this book, Secrets of the Lost Mode of Prayer by Greg Braden, which is an incredible book. And I would love to do a series or a topic just on the entire book. And I was waiting for that, but something this morning, actually, when I woke up, said there's a piece in there that needs to be addressed today. At one level. We can get it at a deeper level another time, but today, this is what you need to talk about. And I always follow Spirit's prompts, even if it doesn't make any sense to me. I still do it. So, I want to read to you, he's talking particularly about blessing, right? Blessing something. And what does that mean? And he says, perhaps contrary to the popular belief that when we bless something, we put our stamp of approval on it, this form of blessing doesn't condone, discourage, or encourage any action, circumstance, or event. It doesn't agree or disagree with any point of view. It simply acknowledges what has occurred. The act of acknowledgement without judgment is the opening that allows healing to begin. And this resonates with me because a phrase that always comes back for me is, whatever's in front of me, it's less about what's actually in front of me and more about what I'm making it mean. And that's a judgment call, right? And so when he's talking about blessing, he's saying, can we set aside any judgment and just look at what's happening in front of us? And he has a 3-part process that he talks about in blessing. So when I looked up blessing, and the definition of it is a quality of emotion that allows us to redefine our feelings about something or someone that has hurt us in the past. And recently I was listening to something, and I cannot remember what I was listening to, but I heard this phrase pop out at me. You ever get it? You ever get that? And it just, like, it won't let me go. And it was, let's see, I wrote it down here. Where did I write it? Apparently it let me go. Oh, here it is. Take a trauma and rework the ending. Isn't that powerful? Take a trauma and rework the ending. Now, we all know that whatever happened, we cannot change, right? So he's not talking about the actual trauma of itself. So what is he talking about? Or whoever said this, what are they talking about? They're talking about changing how we see it, how we view the trauma, because the ending of a trauma is how we're left feeling. Right? And so to rework the ending is to shift how we feel about it. So how do we do that? So Greg Braden's 3-step process for blessing is, and he calls suffering, but it's pain, it's challenge, whatever word you want to put in that place. He says, first, there's 3 things. First, we bless those who have suffered. Right? So we'll do this first, okay? Second, he says, you bless whatever causes the suffering. And third, you bless those who witnessed the suffering. So, what does this mean, and how does this shift how we see something? So let me share a little something that happened when we were in Italy. It's a small thing, but spiritual practice often starts with the small things, right? So it's like our training wheels. And then once we get the hang of doing it with the little things, we can move into the bigger things. And then maybe, once we're really got the hang of it in this moment, we can go back and start sorting through some of that baggage that we have, right? But let's start right here, right now. So we were in Italy. We were in Pisa. The most fascinating thing I've ever seen, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. If you ever get the chance, you just can't even believe it's standing. So we take a train from Florence to Pisa. She's got a little purse on her hip. I have a little purse on my hip. We're being very mindful, so we think. And we get to Pisa, we see the site, and then we're getting ready to get on a bus back to the train station. And when we get on the bus, Jordan gets on first, and you have to put your ticket in the little machine, and then she moves to the back of the bus. And there were a couple people in front of me who were acting like they were having something with their ticket or whatever. And so the woman motioned me to go in front of her. And I did that, and I went to put my ticket in the machine, and about that time I looked up and I saw Jordan at the back of the bus with this freaked out expression on her face and her hands on her purse, and she yells at me, "Mom, check your purse." Well, I'm feeling very disoriented in that moment, and I finally hear what she's saying, and I look down and my purse is open, and she says, "Check for your wallet." And I reached in my purse and it was gone. And in that moment, the people that were standing right in front of me, poof, were gone. I mean, they were just gone. You couldn't even see them on the street. I have no idea where they went, but they were gone. And they had my wallet with them. And there was something in me that just went, oh, I was terrified. terrified. Here we were. They had gotten my driver's license, my credit card. I had my American money, some of my euros in there, and it was gone. And it just so happens that when we came to Pisa, Jordan had a card too, but her card wasn't working for some reason, and so she used the cash she had to buy the train tickets to get us to Pisa, and we were going to use my cash to get us back. So here we are in the train station, stuck at the mercy of strangers because we had no money to get a train back to Florence. And it was such a terrible feeling. I felt violated, I felt angry, and we had to ask strangers. Jordan asked in Italian, my mom's purse got stolen, we don't have any money, can you give us some money for the train to get back? And this nice family did, but that was such a humbling experience. And when they gave us the money, they looked at us with that expression of, yeah, right. And that felt terrible. But the really terrible thing about it was that I thought to myself, how many times have I done that to somebody else? When they've asked for something, or they're standing on the corner, or somebody needs something, and I may give it, but in my mind I'm thinking, yeah, right. Right? So we got ourselves back and we worked it out, and while we were on the train getting back to Florence, my daughter was looking at me because she knows I talk about this stuff every Sunday. What are we going to do, Mom? And every part of me wanted to melt down and scream and right? But she was looking at me, and I thought to myself, okay, this is a moment where I get to decide what I'm going to do with this. And at that time, I didn't have this language in my head, but I knew I had a choice. That this was a moment that could ruin our entire trip if I allowed it to, or not. And it was like this little conflict in me because I wanted to hold on to that, right? But the higher self in me, thank goodness, said, it's going to be okay. We'll do what we have to do. We may have to cut some corners, whatever we have to do. It's going to be fine. You know what? Let's just let it go and enjoy our trip. And we did, and it was fabulous. But when I think about that experience and equate it to Greg Braden's process, how does that look then? So first he says, bless those who have suffered. So I bless myself and I bless Jordan because in that moment we experienced something that didn't feel good. Okay, that's easy, right? That's a really easy thing to do. But the second thing, which is probably the most challenging, is to bless those who caused the suffering, which means that I bless the person, and I'm not even exactly sure which one it was. I bless those people on the bus who took my wallet. Now, that feels odd to say, I bless the people who caused me harm, who did me harm. But from a spiritual context, I think to myself, first of all, the fact that they felt that they had to do that, what place they're in emotionally, right? I believe we're always doing the best we can. And I also believe that people are inherently good. And I did not like the thought that from that moment on, I was going to have to go through my vacation suspecting everybody that I saw, right? And really holding on and closing myself off to protect myself. That thought, I said to Jordan, I can't do that. She said, Mom, we have to be more mindful. I was like, I am not going to walk through Italy looking at everybody as if they're ready to take something from me. But oftentimes that's where we get stuck, isn't it? We get stuck in that thinking that when something happened to us and now we're skeptical and we're pessimistic that it's going to happen again. And we kind of put these walls up. And I didn't want to do that. And if we can get to the point where we say, I bless that which just harmed me, it allows me to remain open. It allows me to let the walls down and to continue as my loving, open, spiritual light. Right? right? So I bless those who took from us. And then thirdly, I bless those who witnessed the suffering. And there were many people on that bus who saw what happened. And they were a little confused, and everybody was checking their pockets. And so in a way, that was a little traumatic for them as well. And can I step outside of myself and say, I bless them as well? I bless them that they know they have a choice in this moment. And they can see the experience and decide they need to protect themselves, or they can see the experience and open and stay open to life as well. Does that make sense? And it's powerful. It's powerful to think of all three steps of that. And when we can do that, he talks about blessing as being the lubricant, emotional lubricant. Because we all know when we can't acknowledge something, or we deny feelings, they get stuck. Right? They don't go away. They get stuck, and what they do is they become part of our baggage. Right? It's like they're tucked in. This backpack has lots of little pockets here and there. It's not just the main compartment, right? There's lots of little pockets. And that's how our emotions work too. Like we have the really big things that have happened that we end up holding on to that go into that main compartment. But then we think that's it. But actually, we've got all kinds of little pockets, little corners where little hurts can tuck themselves. And we can't see them because they're not screaming like the big things. But they're still just as powerful in how they restrict our life force. Georgie, this morning when she read the Daily Word, she was talking about living boldly. We can't live boldly if we've got all kinds of hurts tucked away in our pockets, because it weighs us down. And when you live boldly, there's a sense of lightness, right? There's a sense of and joy. And have you ever had a whole bunch of bags around you and that you're carrying, and do you feel like that? Do you feel like, I can do anything. I'm just going to embrace the moment. No, because there's a heaviness about it. So I love this blessing, and I encourage you to try it. Try it in the moments. You know, someone cut you off in traffic. Well, I bless myself. It could be quick. I bless myself that maybe that's going to be late, or that I almost got into an accident. I bless the person who just cut in front of me, and I bless everybody who's around watching. And on you go. I mean, it's a very... Right? It just allows things to flow. You acknowledge it and you let it go, like a tea bag. I had a friend years ago mention this tea bag, and it comes back to me now and then. You know how you put a tea bag in water and the water just flows through it? That's how we, I think, are meant to be. We're immersed in life, and we're at our strongest when we can just allow everything to flow through. Nothing gets stuck. And I think this blessing process, I hope, will help you to have something tangible to kind of hold on to do. Because sometimes spiritual practice is very, up here in our mind. And sometimes if we can take some words or a little process to root it, it helps us to understand it more, to do it more, and get it then into our heart. And that's ideally what we want to do. So I want to close today. As I was thinking about baggage and all of that, I remembered something about this book that I wrote. I don't even remember what it was, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years, I'm not sure. And the way I ended the book, and this is so interesting, because when I wrote this book, I had no idea what life was going to bring me. At that time. At that time, I thought this was the muck of my spiritual practice and how I had come out of it. And I, in essence, had arrived, right? Have you ever thought that? And life is so humbling. And then what I find out now is that actually this muck was the preparation for the stuff to come. But as I was thinking about how I ended this book, and how fascinating it is. So I want to read it to you, because I think you'll find it interesting as well. So it says, I am standing on the platform, ready to board the train to the land of unlimited possibilities, the land of life. As the train arrives, the doors open, beckoning me to enter. I glance back at the enormous set of luggage, all engraved in my name, waiting to board with me. The sheer power of this next thought hits me hard, and perhaps all of my growth has been leading here to this understanding. Those bags will always be there, and I get to decide if I want to carry them wherever I go. One quick breath and the decision is easily made. I no longer wish to be held down by my past. I step through the doors just in time. As they whoosh closed, I nod a quick goodbye to my luggage, knowing all of it was important, but no longer necessary. I now turn my attention in the direction I am going, knowing the bags are receding in the distance. I choose not to look back. And so it is. Let's go into meditation.